Yes, it was at the corner of 75th and Prospect in Kansas City, Missouri, that Fairyland Park was established in 1923 and continued to flourish until 1977. As a matter of fact, it was planning to open in the 1978 season, but a severe storm event occurred during the winter of 1978, and because of falling attendance and storm damage, the park did not open for the 1978 season. Here I am, ready to explore the grounds as they look in the year 2025, the grounds where Fairyland Park once existed. Here I am, Ron McCoy, in a field at 75th and Prospect, a field that at one time was 80 acres occupied by Fairyland Amusement Park. What happened to Fairyland Amusement Park, and what was it like at its apex? Well, we're going to find out.
Don't be frightened. I'm as human as you are. These are complimentary. Tickets for the space ride.
Oh, if only we had tickets to Fairyland Park. Actually, we do.
I didn't ask to go on any space ride. I don't even know what I'm doing in this so-called amusement park.
Perhaps you were compelled to come here.
Ron McCoy is warped.
That's time warped?
Perhaps you were compelled to come here by some sleeping need for unreality.
Which is definitely at least one of the reasons why people attend amusement parks, like Fairyland Park. But Fairyland Park no longer exists. Yes, it opened in 1923, but was closed by 1977. What happened to it? Well, first we're going to explore the beginning of Fairyland Park and Fairyland Park throughout all of its glory days, and see what we can find on the actual grounds that Fairyland Park once existed. And at 7540 Prospect Avenue, where Fairyland Park once prospered, you can see the remnants of this once mighty park. Now, these are the footings of the Wildcat roller coaster. However, at one time, there was so much more. And it all started when Salvador Sam Brancato immigrated to the United States from Sicily in 1896. After settling in Kansas City, he eventually entered the real estate business, opening up Fairyland Park on 75th and Prospect in 1923. The park was owned by Brancato and his family for all of its years of operation. Fairyland boasted 3 roller coasters at its peak in the 1950s, as well as a Ferris wheel and a swimming pool that exceeded Olympic size. After purchasing another park named Kittyland, which was located at 85th and Warnell in Independence, the rides were moved here, and many younger attendees were welcomed. Yes, it was along 75th and Prospect that Fairyland Park was originally established, and even today there are very few structures in the approximately 80 acres that comprised Fairyland Park. As I stand here in this empty field, I can hear the sounds of the 3 roller coasters and people on them, merry-go-round, other park attractions, and I feel myself being pulled backward through time Times at Fairyland Park weren't all fun and games, as you will soon see. There were highlights and lowlights, discrimination, and other things that happened while the park operated in its 54-year history. Here it comes. Billed in advertisements at Kansas City's $1 million playground, it entered into competition with the existing electric park, Fairmount Park, and Wynwood Beach, and would outlast them all. Admission was 10 cents. Along with a roller coaster, Ferris wheel, and other rides, Fairyland offered carnival acts and games, a fun house, a massive pool, and an outdoor pavilion that showcased the nation's top musical acts, many featuring black performers. The concert dance hall was destroyed by a fire, one of at least 5 at Fairyland in 1943. New rides and attractions were added throughout the years, including the Fairyland Twin Drive-In Theaters in 1961 and the world-class Wildcat roller coaster in 1967. Fairyland's ownership remained in the Brancato family until its 1977 shuttering, blamed on a damaging windstorm and competition from the new Worlds of Fun. The land where the park stood now is bisected by Bruce R. Watkins Drive, and after much of it stood empty for 2 decades, holds Satchel Paige Elementary School, the Alpha Point Association for the Blind, the Metro Patrol Police Station, and the Page Point Affordable Housing Townhome Complex. One big part of Fairyland lives on. The Wildcat roller coaster, which sat abandoned for more than a decade, was dismantled and moved to Six Flags Frontier City in Oklahoma City. It debuted there in 1991 and still operates today. Then there's a negative side to Fairyland Park. The negative side includes segregation. Fairyland Park was hardly the only place that practiced segregation in Kansas City, where hospitals, schools, public parks, swimming pools, golf courses, restaurants, nightclubs, department stores, hotels, theaters, bowling alleys, and art galleries also did so. Segregation was almost as pervasive here as in the Deep South, although you wouldn't know it from the history books taught in local schools. Michelle Tyreen Johnson provides a different take on Fairyland's history. The 4th-generation Kansas City Kansan wrote the play Only One Day a Year, a fictional account of a young girl's experience with Fairyland's very real policy that at one time permitted black people admission to the park only on one specific day each year. Johnson never went to Fairyland, even though it had been integrated when she was a child. "I didn't go, and that's why it's always been at the back of my mind," she said, "because my mother wouldn't take me. My mother's thing was, if I couldn't go as a kid, I'm certainly not taking my kid there." We've all grown up seeing the signs that say no coloreds, right? Johnson said. But when it comes to Kansas City discrimination, it's one of those things where everybody knows it, but it's not like they put up a big sign. Fairyland's policy included exceptions. Black people were allowed to enter for private events, such as company picnics, usually held after the park had closed for the season. Similarly, an advertisement in the black-owned Kansas City Call indicates the park opened to black people for 6 days in early September 1932. So, why did Fairyland Park close? Even with all their efforts, fewer and fewer people visited Fairyland Park. The park suffered major storm damage in the winter of 1977-1978, and because of this damage and the low attendance, the park never reopened. Some people wondered if the storm truly destroyed the park. They thought the owners might have just used that as a reason to close. After the park shut down, the Brancato family tried to use the land for other things. They thought about opening a swap meet or even a zoo, but none of these ideas worked out, and the park never entertained guests again. So, what happened after the park closed? Fairyland Park remained closed from 1978 onward. The old rides and buildings stayed there as ruins until 1998. In 1989, the Wildcat roller coaster was taken apart. It had been sitting abandoned for 11 years. The pieces were moved to Frontier City Amusement Park, where the roller coaster was rebuilt and opened to the public. There is a small sign at Frontier City that tells the history of the ride. The rest of the park's land was finally developed in the early 2000s. The last of the old park remains were removed in 2004.
Come on, lady, before I get too busy to notice you. Let's go have a look at that universe.
We now return your amusement park and strange, alien Birdman to you until the next episode of Rob McCool is Time Warped.
Oh, I'm being pulled into another fantastic adventure somewhere along the infinite corridors of time. What's this? I'm in a parking lot with strange-looking old-fashioned cars. And in the window, there's a sign that says TG&Y 30th Anniversary. TG&Y, one of my favorite places to shop in the 1960s, 70s, and early 80s. And I'm back in time when it flourished.